Welcome back to the channel, where our motto is, why do today what you can stress out about tomorrow? Welcome aboard, ladies and gents, and everyone else who represents. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be reading some creepy Texas urban legends. I'm desperate for inspiration, can y'all guess? But honestly, what could make us feel more comfy than spooky tales of our local lore and the nagging existential thoughts about the unknown? Are y'all still here? Good. You are my people. I'll be linking the source for these short stories in the info box below so you guys can read them for yourselves. At this time, I'd like to remind everyone not to exit the video until we've come to a complete stop. Now that that's out of the way, let's get started. Our first is the tale of the ghosts of Navarro House. The three structures in this adobe and limestone complex between the San Antonio police station and the jail are a veritable astroworld of spirits. Once the home of Jose Antonio Navarro, one of the only two Texas-born signers of the Republic of Texas Declaration of Independence. Fun fact, Texas is the only state in the US with a self-destruct protocol known as the Articles of Secession. The buildings later housed various businesses, including a bar and a bordello. Due to all the activity, there are numerous hot and cold spots, occasionally moving furniture, and a profusion of ghosts. Sorry to those of you who are anti-fusion. Most prominent is the friendly spirit of Navarro. Others, a Confederate deserter, a bartender slain on the job, and a prostitute murdered in bed. Those are the more menacing spirits. I know what room I want to sleep in. The Navarro house is maintained by the resolutely skeletal, whoops, I read that wrong, it's supposed to be skeptical Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, which conducts daily tours for small groups of brave souls. Do we really have to be brave, though? This just sounds like a walk in the woods for me. Then again, I like stuff like this. It's all normal to me. Was that not enough of a thriller? I wrote Thrillier. Why did I do that? Don't worry, I got more. Like the Goat Man of Lake Worth. This gnarled half-man, half-goat made his Fort Worth debut with a flourish in the long, hot summer of 1969. I don't know why I just sang that. Lacking the charm of a Dallas-area lake monster who carried a sign that read, "Have a nice day," or so claims Frank X. Tolbert. Excuse me? There's a Dallas lake monster? Why have I never heard of this? Also, whatever Mr. Tolbert was having, I'll take an order. For science. The Goat Man was described as an ugly creature who was as mean as a rabid pit bull and bigger than a goat. That reminds me, what does he look like? Oh, that's a big boy. He was so antisocial that anyone who got close enough to view him was greeted with a barrage of flying objects, such as truck tires and screwdrivers. Whoever the handyman is who's dropping his tools everywhere, I'd like a word. The attendant bluster of publicity obviously displeased Goatman. Numerous hunters unsuccessfully tried to track the ghoul down, and one budding dramatist even wrote a play in his honor. But Goatman opted for a low profile and has not been cited since. This next one's not really scary as much as it is wholesome, but it's still a ghost story, so let's read The Fiddling Janitor. Strauss waltzes have filled the rotunda of Old Houston Public Library ever since its completion in 1926, thanks to the kindly Mr. Kramer, a janitor who worked and lived in the library until his death in 1936. A notorious loner, Mr. Kramer enjoyed walking through the halls with violin in hand and his shepherd dog Pete by his side. He could most often be found on the balcony in the rotunda, sawing away at a mournful tune. Mr. Kramer so enjoyed his vocation that he has continued his fiddling through the years, especially during stormy weather. If spirits can survive renovation, Mr. Kramer's violin solos will doubtlessly be heard wafting from the balcony again when the building reopens as the Houston Metropolitan Research Center early next year. Like I said, wholesome. Next is Bailey's Light. If a bright orange light the size of a basketball passes by your car as you're driving down Highway 35, don't stop unless you have some hooch in the trunk. Apparently in this context it means booze. Gosh, I hope so. It's just old Britt Bailey, the elder statesman of Texas ghosts, wandering around looking for a drink. Bailey was buried on the coastal prairie between Angleton and West Columbia in 1833. As he had requested, he was interred standing up and facing west, with his gun over his shoulder and a powder horn by his side. Old-timers say Bailey's spirit is on the prowl because the one burial request denied to him was a jug of whiskey to take to the promised land. Yeah, so, we can stand you up, position you in the direction of your choice, and let you keep your pipe and your gun. But we draw the line at alcohol. We want you to be sober when we bring you back as a zombie. Wait, what? Nothing? Supposedly he appears every 7 years on a cold, drizzly autumn night. But Angleton ghostologist, you couldn't have just called her a parapsychologist like a normal person? Catherine Foster thinks Bailey has been real thirsty recently because sightings have been more frequent. Progress exacts a heavy toll, even from senior citizen spooks. Right in the middle of Bailey's Prairie, the ghost's favorite haunt, there now sits a new subdivision. Oh, I get it. So his favorite land was repurposed, so now he's a lot more active now. I get it. Moral of the story, if you're driving down that way at night, make sure to have some hoochie in the trunk. You mean booze, right? Either or. Just tell your girl it's a BDSM thing or something. And that concludes our excursion to the spooky urban legends of Texas. If you guys have any other suggestions of what you'd like me to talk about in the future, please feel free to drop them in the comments section down below. Thank you guys so much for flying with us today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.